Office workers of Reddit. What's the most cringe-worthy reply all you've seen? Story 1. Two of the partners of my old firm were having a not very discreet affair. Both were married to other people. Partner A was in charge of the summer associate program and sent an email around the firm with information on the summers, names, schools, etc., who would be mentors for who, dates of events, etc. Partner B replied, all, to a 500-person law firm, attorneys, paralegals, secretaries, everybody. I'm going to use so hard later. It was hilarious for several reasons, including his ultra-seductive use of the word. Story 2. I used to work at a law firm, and one day an email went out to everyone, about 40 people, that was about a specific case and had very little relevance to my job position, so I ignored it. A few minutes later, I got another email from a different attorney with a snarky response. Well, an argument started between these two attorneys, still replying all to the office, and after about 6 or so emails, a third attorney wrote, "Yeah, well, my dad can beat up your dad. By the way, you've been sending this to the whole office." Story 3. I was working in an office during the Iraq War, and I get an email from some random private. "Y'all need to shut the up." Puzzled by such a blatant attack, I checked who this guy was and who he sent it to. I want to say he sent it to everyone in every command in Iraq, Afghanistan, and a few other places. Some say that private is still doing push-ups to this day. Story 4. Dude mass mailed one of those great American gas out things to all 6,000 employees. The CEO did a reply all saying something like, "Exxon is one of our biggest clients, and using company resources for your own political agenda is against company policy." Story 5. About 12 years ago, I worked in a small office, and a coworker was telling a boring story to the whole office. My boss wanted to email me to complain I was a sounding board, but accidentally replied all to another company-wide email. His message sent to the entire company. I wished Anna would have emailed me this story so I could delete it. She saw the email a few minutes later, threw keyboard up in the air, grabbed her purse, and ran out of the office. My boss had to profusely apologize the next day. Edit, thanks for the karma, love. I should tell this story at parties. I wish I could mention all these experiences when they ask me what's your ideal work environment on job interviews. You folks rock. Story 6. A co-worker of mine was trying to motivate their sales office and was saying to get your hands dirty, and if we had any difficulties closing a sale, the girls should shake their little asses and close the sale. Reached our CEO. She wasn't there long. Story 7. Kind of the same thing, but different. I used to work for a company that was a vendor for Abercrombie & Fitch. I would send emails to different people that work at Abercrombie every day. One day, I sent a request to someone in the company and got an out-of-office reply that basically said, "I am no longer with AF. This place, everyone here sucks." I laughed my off for a few minutes, then called a buddy that works there. Pretty soon, the whole company was sending emails to this account just to read the reply. It took about an hour for their IT department to get wind and take it offline. Story 8. I was a temp in a very large law firm for a bit. One day, a new lawyer was hired, and HR sent out the standard email to everyone introducing the new guy and congratulating him on his new position. New guy then replies all and asks the HR person if his benefits package pays for a hair transplant procedure. Story 9. We had this guy from the main office, Pete, who comes up from time to time. He's an arrogant. I decided that I couldn't stand that smug within literally 30 seconds of meeting him. Anyway, we had quite a bit of turnover in our department since Pete's last visit, so our boss wanted to schedule a lunch so he could meet everyone. So his admin sent out a mass email to see who might be interested in lunch on Thursday. I replied back that I wouldn't be coming because I had a conflict, and then I added, "Plus, Pete's kind of I hadn't realized that I had hit reply all until I heard the scattered laughter all over our floor. Our boss came over, invited me into a conference room, and said, "I'd appreciate it if in the future you'd let everyone decide on their own whether or not Pete is." Thankfully, Pete wasn't on the email. Story 10. I heard about someone where I worked that meant to send out an email to the whole department, a couple dozen people, to let them know that for their birthday, they brought in donuts for everyone. People do this all the time. This guy, however, selected the email list for the whole company instead of the department. They were getting replies from employees in other countries saying things like, "Well, I don't know you, and I can't travel there for donuts, but happy birthday." Story 11. The GM of my office was having issues with the sales team. He's been known to go overboard. This time, he hit reply all and called one of the sales guy dirty Inger. Needless to say, once HR got a hold of the email, his 27-year career was over. Story 12. Working in the claims department for a huge insurance company. One time, a claim handler sent out very personal customer information to the entire company. Every single employee, including the CEO, security staff, building staff, even cleaning staff, so that's bad enough. But then we have this other guy decide to reply all to that email, asking the other guy why he sent him this message. blissfully unaware that the first guy sent it to everyone in the company. And now the first guy responds, still unaware of what happened, telling the second guy he has no idea how that email went to him. So this email thread goes back and forth. Reply all. These two geniuses investigating WTF happened for like 10 replies. They finally decided it was a computer glitch. Ick how they still have jobs. ID have fired them just for not knowing how reply all worked. Story 13 had a management peer send out a long screed about the state of the men's shitter on our floor. Very descriptive. Went out to all the men on the floor and a whole bunch of customers. Story 14, a guy from my training class got fired for poor performance. He knew for months it was coming. On his last day, before the obligatory "this isn't working out" meeting, he sent an email to every single person who reports to our worksite. I work for a very large company, so hundreds of people, estimating conservatively, that said nothing more than remember, no one ever expects the Spanish Inquisition. I guess everyone thought it was prudent to hit reply all to send back their confused responses. For hours, my poor inbox was getting flooded by their stupid replies. Story 15, a design artist at a print shop I worked at 10 years ago. They'll call her Z, had always been one of those flaky but only just good enough to keep types. She'd create files that looked fine to customers and on-screen, but required shitloads of pre-pressed defuckery to make printable, zero real technical skill, when it should have been half her job. One day, a little after lunch, a company-wide email from Z to her husband came through, where she described waiting with glee for the opportunity to purposely up a big repeat yearly job, right before she planned to quit 8 months later. A lot of print jobs are on a yearly cycle with local businesses. This happened in February and referred to a 40K job that came around every October. As IT relief, I got called in to check what happened, and sure enough, ZS other email sent on her workstation's email address to her husband described other stupid things she was planning and referred to one of her husband's friends who worked for a rival print shop. So it was clear it was a bit of sabotage and probably upcoming poaching. Z was fired less than an hour after the email was sent. I didn't mention to my bosses that the email to all the staff was sent when I knew Z was out of the office and had originally been sent before she went to lunch, and originally only to her husband. Our other designer, a quiet mouse type who could actually do the work, had seen earlier sent emails at other times she needed to use ZS Workstation and copied-pasted this completely revealing email into a new email to the whole company from ZS Workstation. I just told her later in passing that I got her email about Z and gave her a thumbs up. Story 16, we use instant messaging. And there have been a few times where someone messages the entire chat group complaining about someone else's work or just them being generally bad at their job. Usually that's quickly followed by oops, as if that's going to make it better. Story 17, random user accidentally sends an email to an entire division of a large government agency, saying, "Shall he late?" Cue an hour of people reply all ing, remove me from this list, and then another hour of reply all ing, don't reply all. Story 18, put every name in the BCC if you're sending an email to a huge group, so no one can hit reply all on accident. If they do, since they can't see names in the BCC, the reply won't go to anyone but the original sender. Edit here is a better way. Story 19, we had a rule at my old company. Don't you dare ever reply all to a company-wide email. It was a simple rule that got broken a lot. As such, there was zero tolerance for people replying all. People have literally been fired for it. Anyway, one day an employee had his cheese stolen from the fridge, and he decided to send an email to everyone by replying all to a mass email. Employee to the person who stole my cheese, I will find you, and you will regret what you've done. I saw an opportunity. So I took it. I replied all to his email with Liam Neeson's speech from Taken and replaced daughter with Cheese the CEO, came by shortly after laughing at my joke. He explained that the employee has just completed a meeting with HR about the email and that I will have a meeting as well about my reply. He said it was really funny, but that doesn't excuse the rule we have in place. Totally worth it. That email eventually became an inside joke with him and helped me make friends with our CEO, called him Big Cheese after that. Story 20, not a reply all, but my friend was using our inter-office instant messenger. Meant to send the following message to me, well, if she stopped trying to all of her clients, maybe she'd hit her sales target for once. Yeah. Sent it to her instead. He got fired. Story 21, guy sent a listen babe, I just need to finish one last report, and then I'll pick you up and your brain out in the car, okay? Sounds awesome, right? Yeah, until we noticed the address he meant to send it to was a subscription service for fake relationships dirty talk. Story 22, I worked in a very large government complex, and someone once replied all to an email that was sent to the 500 employees with the caption, "This guy looks like Reggie, LOL." The picture was of a large, hairy man in Speedo. I have no idea who Reggie is, but if the caption was accurate, then he should consider buying some hair trimmers. Story 23. When I was in college, I worked at a local ISP. One day, out of the blue, the lead sysadmin calls me, "Hey, do you know how to break into a Cobalt rack? I need you to delete an email, small hosting server, I could probably figure something out. Worst case, I can reboot it and reset the password. Shit. Never mind. That'll take too long." Click. A bit confused, I just shrugged and went on with my day. Later, I found out the reason for the strange phone call. The customer had been emailing back and forth with the sysadmin and the company owner regarding some technical issue that led to a billing dispute. The sysadmin, having a very short temper, hit reply all without thinking and wrote something along the lines of, "Just because customer likes to take it up the doesn't mean we need to bend over and let him do whatever he wants. He called me to break into the server so that I could delete the email before the customer had a chance to read it." Unfortunately, the customer got the email immediately and received a lot of free hosting services, kind of along the same lines, but my ex-girlfriend managed to send out an email to all the bioengineering students at my school with a cool video about nematodes. It was a Rick roll, E9 Mo's, later per Kevin's request. Story 24. We had some issues with people leaving dirty coffee mugs in the break room sink. Most of my coworkers are between 30 to 50, and our new HR bookkeeper mid-20s sent an email, "I'm not your mother. I won't be cleaning your dishes anymore." Didn't go over well with a majority of the office due to the age difference. Story 25. Just last week, an email was mistakenly sent to over 100,000 people in at least a dozen different countries. After about 45 minutes, there were a couple reply all responses. A decent amount of people replied all saying not to reply all, but didn't realize that the email server was backed up trying to send a few million emails. Some emails took over 10 hours from the time sent for me to receive them. This caused more people to say not to reply all, as they hadn't seen anyone else's response saying so yet. Over the next 12 hours, I and every one of the other 100,000 people received over 180 emails, all having to do with wondering what the original email was or telling us not to reply all. Over 18 million emails in total. A back-of-the-napkin estimation said it cost the companies tens of thousands of dollars. Edit for those asking for my calculation. If all 100,000 people lost 5 minutes of working time to this mess, that is 500,000 minutes, which is 8,333 repeating, of course, man hours. It'll assume an average payment of $20 per hour per employee, which is likely a very low estimate. That's over $166,000 lost. Keep in mind that while not everyone spent 5 minutes reading through and deleting the emails, there were also people like me who lost upwards of 5 to 6 hours due to waiting on emails to get me started on a new set of work. Story 26. Nothing too awful, but our company used to solicit donations to a charity. It was totally voluntary, and I didn't contribute. A few weeks later, the accounting manager sent an email to everyone in the company saying if the following people would still like to donate, please do so by this date. Name my name, really? Story 27. Okay. This one is technically not reply to all, but close enough. The Dutch Railways has a timetable app with push notifications, e.g. if your train is delayed. One morning last year, basically all people in the Netherlands with this app, that's millions, receive a push message. This is a test message. Dear colleagues, I checked with software and all messages have been sent received, followed by just so Hey Joe believes it too. Hey Joe is a male's name. This one dude accidentally sent millions of people a message just to prove his colleague wrong. Story 28. Someone at work sent an email asking for donations to his church. He sent it to over 2K employees. Then the chaos started. At first, I could see my inbox rise at number 5, 10, 25, etc. Suddenly, hundreds of emails poured in with some messages saying, I don't want to donate, and you should not send this email to everyone, I couldn't decide who the biggest idiot was, were the guy who sent the email or that replied all. The best email was from the IT director telling us not to reply all because the server was going to crash. And then it crashed. I heard that the guy got fired for soliciting donations, not emailing everyone, and IT got a slap on the hand for allowing everyone to have access to the all-employees email group. True story. Worked at Maxey's division of EA in the late 90s. We had a few temporary employee game testers, including this one chick around 20 or so. I guess some friend of hers emailed her at work. One of those stupid teenager spams that went something like forward this email to 5 friends, and your crush will ask you out, forward it to 10 friends, and your crush will kiss you. So somehow she forwarded it to EA all. Every employee at EA, maybe 2,500 people at the time, I suppose. I think our email system allowed a recall function to pull it out of the inboxes of anybody who hadn't read it yet. And I think she tried that, but it was too late. It outraged enough people around the company, including Redwood City, HQ, Canada, Florida, and Texas, that I saw her in her boss office within the hour. In tears, we never saw her again. Edit props to the several Redditors who addressed the multiplier effect of the email. I was hoping for that. Story 29. This actually happened. I was in a group email thread regarding what everyone wanted to go grab for lunch. Someone recommended this place, called Persian Grill, which can accommodate many people. Someone in the thread posted him down. Haven't had Persian Grill in a while. Story 30, not my office division, but our oil field construction division sends in bids to secure future jobs. Lowest bidder wins. Winning a bid is sometimes scary, because you wonder if you left out any estimation tables. Anyway, our estimator sends in the bid to the proper email, which goes to his secretary. Other competitors use the same email address to send in their bids also. Imagine our horror when the secretary sends a reply all with a thank you for submitting your bid for Project X, and all the other bids are attached to this email. So every competitor sees where each other are increasing estimations and decreasing their costs. It's really both a tofu and cringe post. Story 31, I work at a public institution. We send out term schedules to departments so chairs, deans, and administrative assistants can review and make necessary changes. We had a chair reply back once the following: I've made some changes to the schedule. Can you rerun the report and send it to me from my former secretary? This is with the dean, chairs of the other departments in that academic college, and administrative assistants of that academic college all copied in, including the... Apparently, she was on her way to being terminated for some reason. She was gone pretty soon afterward. We never heard back from anybody else in that department either, so I'm not sure what happened. The chair that sent the email remained at the university until he ended up dying from something unexpectedly a few years ago. Story 32, not a reply all, but a send all. My boss sent out a mass email to her team, as well as many other managers about whatever it was with a link included, except the link was to a website for Halloween costumes for kids. She was apparently shopping for her grandkid and pasted the wrong link. Was hilarious. She was known for being stupid. The head manager of my RD lab got a spam email about a Windows virus involving a legit Java exe file that had a teddy bear icon, jdbgmgr exe. He looks on his computer, and lo and behold, it's on his machine. He proceeded to lose his and forwarded it to everyone in the company, telling them to delete the file. He did not run this by IT first. IT was not amused. A sign showing a teddy bear with a dagger through its head, labeled the Teddy Bear Slayer, was found on his office door the next morning. Story 33, I used to work for one of the largest newspapers in the world. One day an email came through that was literally sent to the entire company worldwide. It was the contract a new hire who was a significant person at a rival paper was about to sign, with a salary that was astronomical. The body text essentially said, "Give him whatever he wants." The woman who accidentally sent the email was kicked out of the building that day. Story 34, there's so many, but my favorite was in reply to a congratulations on the successful project launch email, which went to the project team, their leaders, and some executive sponsors. Someone on the project team replied to all complaining about the project manager, making them work late or whatever. She explained that if she saw him in the parking lot, she would run him over and squash his head like a pumpkin. It was followed a few hours later with an apology and an assertion that she was joking. Story 35, in a high-end strategy consulting firm I worked in, there were a lot of farewell mass emails due to high turnover. One girl replied to one of those emails, "Thanks. You finally mustered up the courage. It motivates me to get out. I'll definitely work on it." Pressing reply all was probably not intended. Story 36, I was working in a college library media department, and one of my coworkers was about to move on to another job and was starting to get snarky and burn his bridges a little, I think, because he felt bad leaving or guilty or something. Anyway, in my nightly everything is okay, I closed it all down and there were no problems emailed to my boss. I included a paragraph about this coworker and what a pain he was being, which I then sent to the entire library because I replied to one of my boss emails, didn't write a new one. Dude's response when he came to work for his last day. So, I guess we're not friends anymore. Story 37, the large consulting firm I worked at was rolling out new laptops company-wide and sent out a mass email outlining the 2 laptops that employees could choose from once they received their notification that it was time to choose, essentially a standard laptop or a smaller laptop that could be converted into a tablet, a Lenovo Yoga. Several people replied all, but my absolute favorite reply was simply I want the one that could be like iPad, all lowercase, 0 punctuation, top-notch professionalism. Story 38, an employee emailed asking if anyone could take his 2 to 10 shift, but he forgot the F in shift. So someone replies to everyone, including our managers and GM, wow, that's a long. Story 39, man. Oh man, so there's this thing called the Great Distribution List Disaster of 2015 within a section of the U.S. government. Picture it, a distribution list with over 45,000 members. One person replies to the list rather than just the originator to please remove them from a list. It starts a shitstorm. Over the next 5 hours, thousands of people reply all to take them off the list as well. Thousands of people reply all telling everyone else to quit replying all. And then you have a few very funny people who did more clever things. It was a beautiful, beautiful disaster. 1010 would like to have happen my third day at a new job again. Story 40 Corporate sends out a company-wide email. Something to the effect, congratulations to this year's winner of the Lisa Martinez Award for Excellence. Some brown, nosing line supervisor who didn't read the email did a reply all saying, congratulations to Lisa Martinez. Sadly, Lisa had died of cancer a few weeks before, and the award was created in her honor. Definitely cringe-worthy. Story 41 I'm late to this thread, so no one will ever see these. But coworker, for some reason, copied into his clipboard a threat made in jest in an IM to another coworker, probably to make the same joke in other chat windows. Then proceeded to paste it into a mass update tool, updating thousands of customer tickets, with an external note proclaiming, I will hunt you down and eat your children. We spent the rest of the day manually editing it out of tickets one at a time until a database admin could be reached to purge the rest. It was on a Sunday, and amazingly, we only heard about it from one customer who politely called to give us a heads up. Had he not called, we never would have known until it was too late. Answer time during a WebEx with one of our customers. I had one monitor shared and a chat window running in my non-share monitor. Incoming IM, imager link, click, image viewer opens on the shared screen. I panic and close it almost immediately. I hear one person snicker, but the conversation on the call proceeds uninterrupted. A coworker on the call IMs me that he saw it. I wait the rest of the day for someone to complain. Never hear about it again. Image was the one with the dude dressed up as a flamboyant unicorn. Lastly, one coworker on the help desk hit mute and asked the caller if she was stupid, to which she replied, what, because he missed mute? In his panic, he hung up on her. Surprisingly, we never heard about that again, either. Story 42, our company uses an IM service that's divided into rooms for each department, as well as individual chats. We had a temp one year who flew through her work, but did it poorly. She completed something like 24 tasks when the average temp did 5 or 6, but I'd have to stay late, waste time fixing them. It was too far into our busy season to do anything else, so one night I messaged my coworker like, ugh, name redacted, did like 25 things again. Now I get to fix them, and she goes, ugh, and then a third person goes, that sucks. And I realized ID sent the message to our entire department, including the aforementioned temp. First time I ever made a coworker cry. It was so bad. I made up some excuse that we both knew was bullshit, and I still cringe thinking about it. Story 43, a fitness group was started, and along with it, a mailing list. Folks started using reply all to ask to be removed. VPs were on this list, and getting this spam, an HR person had to step in and threaten disciplinary action for further reply alls. Shortly after that message, a new analyst sent a reply all in large, bright red, Comic Sans font yelling at folks for reply all. Filters exist for a reason, folks. Story 44, my company is extremely large. It has more employees than many small towns. There was a glitch that caused some automated message meant for about 5 people to go out to the entire company. Several hundred people hit reply all and basically said, what is this, before the exchange admins were able to prevent them from doing that. So that was annoying. Story 45, a woman at my old firm told her daughter's father, who she had been broken up with for 10 years at the time, OFF, she called him ugly, went on and on about how he would never be anybody and how she's happy with her boyfriend. It was 2 pages long. Everyone just silently looked at each other reading it and speaking through looks. Story 46, customer was having problems understanding the technical complexity of something. Over a few emails, the CC line ended up with various lists somewhere around close to 40 ppl was behind the lists. Retards instead of regards closed the email. After 30 minutes of silence and all the bosses freaking out, the CTO of the client called and was laughing hysterically. Apparently he has made the same mistake. My coworker never ever signed off again. It's now in his auto signature, as thank you. Story 47, at the end of every month my work has a paid for lunch. We are a company of around 200. The menu goes out a few days beforehand. The office manager replied, all with the simple and blunt message of, great email. Most of us thought it was hilarious. HR apparently did not. He had to send out an apology email an hour or so later. I guess the CEO didn't mind. During a company meeting a few weeks later, he gave the office manager a shirt with great shirt written on it. Head architect left the organization, large state city agency, sent out a farewell email to many people, probably 4K people, as she sent to group, not individual, and apparently the reply all to her was selected by several people. Not only that, but people replied to the senders of the reply all saying, don't send via reply all, while sending via reply all. Within 30 minutes, IT got involved and stopped it cold. Edit words. Story 48. From time to time, a recruiter will accidentally use the CC field instead of the BCC field. Lots of angry, I don't want a bunch of strangers to have my email replies tend to be sent to the whole group. Story 49. Not an office setting, but uni. It snowed, so we got an email saying that class is canceled. And this girl replies, "Thank you." I think she meant to put emojis, but they rendered as question marks. Surprisingly, she took it in stride, though, making her FB cover photo those words on the background of her campus. Story 50. I was the editor for a local newspaper. We had an open submission policy from the public for one section of the paper, and we considered every submission. This one guy had seriously leave us these 6-page, single-space sermons like religious sermons and get pissed when we didn't print them. To placate him, we offered to run one if Head cut it down to 1 page. He angrily refused. Well, eventually, Head had enough. He sent us this email saying things like, "Y'all hate Jesus, and y'all trying to stomp on my freedom of speech. I may go to court with this bullshit, and y'all want to pay me big time, all of you." It was a massive, badly typed email that I certainly didn't expect from someone as religious as he was. Naturally, I led that to my entire team with my reply, which was, "Thank you for your submission. This looks like an excellent piece, and we'll consider it for printing after one of our editors works a week or so of overtime to get in shape. Thanks again." Never heard from him again. Story 51. Less cringe-worthy and more facepalm. The HR girl would send out an email at the end of a pay period for employees to fill out their time card for payroll. One of the VPs replies whole company saying he's out and directing how to fill out his time card. You'd think by this point a higher-up would know not to reply all for a 1v1 conversation. Story 52. Not totally applicable, but it was an email to an entire organization from our slightly ditzy safety officer. She was prepping everyone for winter with some tips. One was to be aware of windshield temperature. Argued with me when I corrected her, stated she had never heard it called wind chill. But hey, it's not like the whole company got that email. Oh, wait. Story 53. I worked for a large federal organization for a number of years. Thousands of people in many countries. Someone typed up an email about an employee car club in one particular city that's going to be closed over the weekend. However, they opened the global address book, selected every entry, then hit send. Someone, of course, hit reply all and told the person off for emailing everyone around the globe. Someone else then hit reply all to tell the first reply all not to use reply all. It was a giant cluster. I was on the other side of the country, so not sure what happened to the offending party, but I would guess it wasn't fun. Story 54. About a year back, the Army had an idiot mass email a gigantic list of people like half the U.S. Army. Q 3 months of reply. All's like, take me off this list and don't reply all. It was insane. I ended up with near 1,000 emails in my inbox. Someone got demoted to private and shipped off to Alaska. Story 55. One always replies all to people's leaving emails, wishing them the best. Yes, fine. Wishing them the best, including everyone. Not exactly an email reply all, but yesterday my direct supervisor and I were on a telecon in our respective offices. He is an older gentleman and not very good with technology and didn't know how to mute his cell phone. His solution to this problem was to bury it in his pocket. Didn't help when he went to the washroom halfway through, though. Story 56. At work, we wind up with email chains with 30 people all hitting reply all. Well, a guy we will call Gus asked for a deadline to be extended, since he didn't think he'd be able to meet it. A guy we'll call Richard is steering the project, and he replied all about how the deadline will not be extended, and it is just too bad. Gus then hit reply all with that guy is such a... Anyone else get those weird send all emails from the Oklahoma Department of Insurance a few years ago, the ones with the contest? Story 57. Where I work, this is so common. I've showed HR a few times how to BCC an email to everyone, but they don't give a, they're morons. We have about 350 people that work for us at 3 different locations. We are also a subsidiary, so sometimes our parent company sends out emails with some bullshit they have to say. Yet they're also fucked, so they don't BCC either. We've not had any really bad reply all messages. Yet there was one where the CEO of the parent company was pushing some bullshit fitness program, and she's all, "I walked 1,400 steps today," and this creepy salesman guy replies to all with like, "You're such a fitness buff," like obviously brown nosing. Then once they were building a deck or some outside for employees to sit at or whatever, and HR sends out an email like if anyone would like some free crabgrass, they've dug it up, and it's sitting by the parking lot. And that same dude is like, "LOL, what's crabgrass the best?" There wasn't a reply to all per se. Not everyone in our company has email accounts. Those down that far to not merit an email account are forced to use some shitty application all day that has a built-in messaging system. Basically, it's just a pop-up for whoever you send it to. But if you pick broadcast in there, it sends an email to everyone in the company. All locations and a few parent company. I guess this guy didn't realize that broadcast went to everyone regardless of if they were signed in or not as well as emailing everyone in the company. Either that or he did. His message was in all caps with exclamation marks. Does anyone have any Imodium? He basically informed everyone in the company he couldn't stop shitting. I wanted to make fun of him with my coworkers, but all they wanted to do was help that poor get some Imodium. I wish I had something better, but I thought the guy professing his diarrhea to the entire company was worth sharing at least. Story 58. After I gave my notice at my last job, my boss decided to discreetly have all of my emails also sent to her and my assistant. Luckily, they told me a day or two later, but still. WTF. Anyways, one of my coworkers emailed me, saying something about the she-devil referring to my boss, and I had to reply talking about some random nonsense, made-up personal stuff to help him dodge a bullet. He was so confused by my reply until I explained to him later that she was getting all of my emails. He just blankly stared at me, with his mouth wide open, not breathing. Did I mention that my boss was also the CEO's girlfriend, but luckily, she was none the wiser. Story 59. Years ago, at a previous job, one of my bosses was planning a company barbecue. An email was sent out to the entire company inviting everyone. One of my coworkers who was good friends with my boss hit reply all and said, I hope that Caitlin doesn't show up. The email went out to about 90 people. The girl who sent that was so embarrassed. She left the office and never showed up again. It was great she was a kiss.